The state will call its next witness.
The state calls Daniel Hausdorf.
Daniel Hausdorf. With the court reporter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Pause the witness. Change of plans. So I'm going to give you a break, 10 minutes. We'll come back. So shorter than 15, but 10, okay? Leave your notepads on your chair.
Thanks, Riley. Defense is ready, Your Honor. Just prior to the jury coming in, as we mentioned, there were some additional materials we received earlier this week, and by agreement of the parties, we will have a one-page AFTE General Rifling Characteristics database document marked as Defense 60.
No objection? Okay. It'll be so honored. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. Let's bring in the jury. It's freezing in here, isn't it? Maybe.
Your Honor, the accused are entering the courtroom.
Thank you. Welcome back in, members of the jury. Everyone may be seated. Mr. Mizrahi, call the next witness, please.
Daniel Hausdorf.
Daniel Hausdorf. Good afternoon. If you please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir. All right, this way, please. Watch your step.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You may proceed.
Please, the court. Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Daniel Hausdorf. My last name is spelled Hausdorf.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I am a crime laboratory analyst in the firearms section at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
How long have you been so employed?
About 13 years.
Explain to the jury briefly about your educational background and training experience that allows you to perform those duties.
Yes, sir. I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical science from the University of South Florida. I was hired at FDLE as a forensic technologist in the firearms section, and I completed the 6-month training program for that position, and then was an FT for about 3.5 years. I was then promoted to analyst and completed the training program in August of 2018, and I've been an analyst since.
And has that educational background and training experience allowed you to come into courts and give your opinion as to your expertise in your field?
Yes, sir.
At this time, I would turn to the witness for voir dire as an expert in firearms identification.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
So let's give the jury a little bit of an education of what you kind of do every single day about firearms and how you're able to compare components of a cartridge to each other and then to potentially guns.
Sure. So a basic day of what I do is I compare cartridge cases and bullets microscopically to determine if they were or were not fired from a particular firearm. I also perform firearm function testing, serial number restoration, and imaging cartridge cases into our database. The way that I would compare bullets or cartridge cases to each other is I would use my comparison microscope. It's 2 microscopes joined by an optical bridge that allows me to view 2 objects at the same time under the same magnification. So what I'm doing is I'm putting one cartridge case on one side, another cartridge case on the other side. I'm comparing those two overlaying those images on top of each other, and I'm looking for a repeating pattern that's coming from the firearm during the firing process. I use the exact same procedure for looking at bullets. If they have the same pattern, I would determine they were fired from the same firearm. If they don't, that's when I can eliminate from the same gun.
Explain to the jury how a firearm manufactured by the same firearms manufacturer at the same period of time, can those individual firearms be distinguished from each other?
So when a firearm is being manufactured, the way that those unique characteristics are imparted to the firearm are during the manufacturing process. If you think about the barrel itself, it's going to have to be drilled, it's going to have to be reamed, it's going to have to be rifled. All of those tools are creating an immense amount of pressure within the barrel, and they're forming what's called chip formations as it's removing or displacing the metal. Those chip formations are creating unique microscopic imperfections within the barrel and various other parts of the firearm itself. And those unique surface imperfections are being imparted to the bullet or the cartridge case during the firing process. The barrel or other various parts of the firearm are harder than the metal is used for cartridge cases and bullets. So those unique imperfections or scratches are going to be transferred over to those components. And I'm looking at those on the scope to determine if they have the same pattern as test fires that I would create or multiple pieces of evidence that I would compare to each other.
So is this scientifically accepted in the community?
Yes, it is.
Make these kind of comparisons?
Yes, sir.
For how long has various laboratories been doing this kind of work?
Over 100 years.
Is it replicatable or replicable? In other words, other labs could do the same work and go behind you and compare what you've done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's turn directly to your work, and you have your file up there with you?
Yes, sir.
FDLE number 2026-1946. And you've reviewed that?
Yeah, 2026-040-1946. Yes.
040s. Just to go to the, okay. You did not get a firearm in this case.
No, sir.
All right, let's go through what you did. And you briefly mentioned this. Explain to the jury how cartridge cases, how they come to be in a particular scene, and then how they're different from projectiles.
So a cartridge case and a bullet are two parts of a cartridge. A cartridge is a single unit of ammunition. The cartridge case is the body of the cartridge. There's the projectile, which is propelled down and out the barrel of the firearm by the explosion caused by the firing pin hitting the primer, which is the third component, creating a spark to ignite the gunpowder, which is the fourth component in the cartridge. When a gun is fired, that cartridge case is typically, in a semi-automatic firearm, automatically extracted and ejected out of the firearm. The bullet is propelled down the barrel and out the barrel of the firearm.
When a cartridge case is expelled from the firearm, do they typically go in a pattern that is similar?
Not typically, no.
So they go out of the firearm and they can kind of bounce around and go anywhere?
And depends on how you're holding the firearm and where you're shooting from, a lot of different variables, yes.
And I know the jury's probably seen this from movies and things, but when the cases get expelled from the firearms, are they going hundreds of yards on their own?
No.
So they're going to be in the general vicinity, but you just don't know exactly where.
Correct.
So then once you can compare those cartridge cases to each other to see if they're fired from the same firearm, how about the projectiles? Can you compare those projectiles to the actual casings?
No, sir.
Explain why not.
So when the cartridge case expels the bullet from the firearm, any markings that would be left behind from the bullet being removed from the cartridge case are going to be overwritten by the markings that are left behind from the barrel. So there's nothing for me to compare it to.
Okay. So there's kind of two different components when you have a case where you have projectiles and casings. Is that
Yes.
fair?
They're basically a separate entity when I don't have a firearm to compare it to.
Okay. And in this case, you did.
Correct.
So let's go first with the casings. Were you able to perform any analysis on the 4 10-millimeter casings that were provided to you?
Yes.
How do you know they're 10 millimeters?
They have 10 millimeter written right on the head stamp.
Is that a clue?
It's a very good clue.
Did you also notice other things that made it indicate it was a 10-millimeter shell casing?
The size, the diameter, and everything that goes along with the 10 millimeter cartridge case, yes.
Were you able to microscopically compare each one of those 4 casings to determine whether or not they were fired from the same firearm?
That's correct, yes.
And were they?
Yes.
They approached the witness.
Yes.
I'm showing you it's been entered into evidence is States Exhibit 88A, B, C, and D. And I just want you to look at those and make sure that those are, of course I mixed it up. There's 88 88D, 88C, 88A, and 88B.
Okay?
Are those the four cartridge cases, 10 millimeter cartridge cases that you compare to each other?
Yes, sir.
And that they all matched?
Yes, sir.
And may I publish those in actual display form, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I think you can remain there, Mr. Hausdorf. But when we talk about the shell casings, we're talking about the pristine cylindrical cartridge cases.
Yes, the
I guess-
four on the left there.
Pointing to it here. We see other things that are more damaged. Is that going to be the projectiles?
In this case, yes.
Is it common to have your projectiles be somewhat damaged and have your cartridge cases be pristine?
Yes.
And I guess that's obvious. Why is that?
Do you want to use that table over there?
No, I think the jury can see it from here, if that's okay. I'll move it before Mr. Dresser gets up. They can all see it from there. If that's okay with Your Honor,
Yes.
we'll do these two. I forgot what my question was. Why? Why do they get damaged?
Typically on what they hit, obviously it's going to be something harder than what the projectile is. If it hits a person, car, wall, it's going to create damage to that projectile.
In identifying those four cartridge cases, were you also able to make an opinion as to the class characteristics of those cartridge cases?
Yes, they are typically fired in a Glock firearm based off the type of class characteristics that are left behind on that cartridge case.
So can you say 100% it's a Glock?
No, sir.
But it's just
Consistent with. Yes.
so all four of those, they're all 10 millimeters 100% though.
100% yes.
And it matches or is consistent with a Glock.
Yes, sir.
Now, did some of the projectiles that you were given, were they too damaged for any type of evaluation?
Yes, they were.
And describe, is that common?
It is common depending on the evidence that I receive. Sometimes there can be a fragment of the projectile that breaks off. It might not even be a part of the projectile that was even in contact with the barrel. It could be something inside the core of the bullet itself. It could be too damaged to have any of the markings from the firearm still be on that fragment or projectile. All of those things can inhibit my analysis to what I actually can see.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with the stuff that's inconclusive and then go to the conclusive things with regard to the projectiles.
Okay?
So I think there were three different things that were, I guess, either inconclusive or had no value for microscopic comparison. And the no value for microscopic comparison was items 7B and 8.
That's correct, yes.
And then the items that were inconclusive were items 5 and 7A.
That's correct.
Let's just have a look at those so the jury can see what you're doing. First of all, the ones that just had no value are going to be States Exhibit 93A. Is that accurate?
As far as 7B on this one, yes, sir.
'93A. So it kind of just looks like a hunk of metal. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And then States 93B and 89A were those the ones that were not, they were inconclusive.
Number 5 was inconclusive, and number 8 was no value.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So you were able to take two projectiles and actually match them to each other.
Yes, sir.
And what were those two numbers?
Those were items 6 and 9.
And I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence as States Exhibit 89B, which corresponds to number 6, and States 93C, which corresponds to 9. Am I accurate in that?
Yes, sir.
So let's show the jury in 93C. It actually looks a little beat up. Is that fair?
Depends on what you're talking about, but yes.
So, but microscopically, it had information.
Yes, sir.
So you were able to compare 93C and match it to 89B. Which is going to be at the bottom. And what determination were you able to make about those two projectiles?
That they were identified to each other, which means that they were fired in the same firearm.
Were you able to make any determination based on class characteristics and rifling characteristics about the type of firearm?
Yes, they are also consistent with a Glock type firearm.
Are you able to conclusively say that those projectiles are 10 millimeters?
No, sir.
Why not?
Based off of the weight and the characteristics, they're not indicative of a 10 millimeter because they're going to have the same base diameter. Or sorry, they're not going to be indicative of an exclusive 10 millimeter because the base diameter is the same as a 40 Smith & Wesson, and the weight wasn't high enough to eliminate from a 40 Smith & Wesson.
But they absolutely could be Glock 10 millimeters.
Yes, sir.
And you did not receive any Smith & Wesson 40 caliber shell casings in this case at all.
No, sir.
So if the projectiles are consistent with a 10 millimeter and all the casings are 10 millimeters, is it consistent that this was a Glock 10 millimeter firearm?
Based off the cartridge cases, yes, and the projectiles by themselves are 40/10 millimeter, but it does have a potential for having a Glock 10 millimeter firearm, yes.
Well, he doesn't know that. Anything else? That's all the questions, Joe.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Briefly. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The report that was referenced from July 30th, 2026, did you author that report?
Yes, sir.
Who provides the information to you as far as case information, meaning what it's related to?
It's provided by the submitting agency.
And who is the submitting agency in this particular instance?
It was Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
And I see you referencing something. Are you referencing that report?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you tell us, it says attention. Who is that attention to?
Chris Johns?
Okay. And do you know who that individual is?
No, sir.
Your understanding is he may be affiliated with the Jacksonville Beach Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then under victims, can you read who's listed there?
It's Jared Gallon Bridegan.
And I'll represent to you that it's pronounced Bridegan.
Right, okay, yes, sir.
And then under subjects, can you read the names listed there?
Henry Arthur Tenon, Shannon Lee Gardner, Mario Enrique Fernandez Saldana, Jimmy Clay Jones.
Okay. And those are not names that you came up with, correct?
No, sir.
Those were names submitted to you by the Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you didn't do any DNA testing or anything in this case, correct?
No, sir.
Just simply, you tested the projectiles and the casings that Mr. Mizrahi went over with you.
That's correct.
And if I understood your testimony, because of the absence of a firearm for you to evaluate, you can't make any solid determination of which model of Glock actually discharged those projectiles and ejected those casings.
That's correct. I cannot determine that, no.
But your closest determination based upon the characteristics from the projectiles and the fact that the casings are 10 millimeters, you would believe it's consistent with a Glock manufactured firearm.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And is it your understanding there are 3 different models of 10 millimeter Glocks?
Yes, there is.
Okay, there's a Glock 20, and I believe that's considered like the original flagship 10 millimeter.
That's their full size, yes.
And that's been in production since 1991.
I'm not sure the exact year, but that sounds approximately right.
Okay. And then there's also a Glock 29.
Yes.
Okay. And I believe that's been in production since 1997. Does that sound about right?
Sounds about right, and that's the subcompact.
Okay, and then a firearm that has been referenced in this case is a Glock 40 Gen 4. Is that also a 10 millimeter you're familiar with?
Yes, it is.
And I believe that's been in production since 2015. Does that sound about right?
I'm not sure the exact year again, but it sounds about right.
And in 2022, or specifically February 16th of 2022, would you anticipate all three of those models were still in circulation?
Yes, that's correct.
And I understand that there are subsequent generations of firearms, like a Gen 5 or a Gen 6. But these three that I just recited to you, you would understand those would have been available February 16th of 2022.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I understand that from your testimony, you can make no opinion as to which model of those Glocks we just talked about would have discharged those particular projectiles.
That's correct. I cannot do that.
And you weren't asked to provide any type of determination of who would have discharged those projectiles.
No, sir.
And you certainly weren't asked to draw any conclusion of who would have been responsible for this particular offense.
No, sir.
This seems like a somewhat of a common sense question, but being that those three particular models of Glock have been in production, two of which in the 90s, one in the 2000s, would it be fair that Glock is one of the most popular gun manufacturers in the country,
It is one of the most popular. Yes, sir.
utilized by many different law enforcement agencies?
Yes, sir.
Not necessarily the 10 millimeter, but that manufacturer is a for-profit business,
That manufacturer is one of the most popular firearms. Yes.
something that you see a lot of.
Yes.
Fair to say that there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, of those particular models of firearm?
That's fair to say. Yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any follow-up?
Yes, Your Honor. I know defense counsel was clear about the fact that Glock makes lots of other firearms in addition to a 10 millimeter.
That's correct.
What are their most popular calibers?
Most popular, in my opinion, would be 9mm Luger or 40 Smith & Wesson.
A 10 millimeter is less popular than that.
Correct.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the timing of everything, and we've kind of glossed over that. When you do your work, does it take time?
Yes, it does take time.
Do you have a lot of work to do?
Yes, sir.
When the jurors may be familiar with TV programs where you get ballistics reports in about 10 minutes during a commercial break. Is that real life?
It's not like real life. No, sir.
And in this particular case, you got the submission to you to analyze this in April of 2026?
I believe so. Let me double check.
Yeah, check that.
Yes, sir.
And your report's dated July 30th of 2026.
That's correct.
Is that kind of a typical turnaround, or is that a little quick?
That's about the same time. Depending if it's a rush case or not, we might prioritize the case sooner. In this case, it was given to me just before July, actually. I think right around about that time.
And so is that kind of time frame true throughout FDLE? In other words, it takes you all time to do your work.
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have here.
All right,
Nothing further.
okay. May this witness be excused?
He is excused, Your Honor.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor.